Hi, I'm Elizabeth, and today I'm going to talk about everyone's favorite subject, high school chemistry. I'm joking. I'm not actually going to talk about high school chemistry. I am going to talk about a concept that I learned in high school chemistry. So stick with me for just a second because I promise it applies to your life. I promise that it does. So maybe high school chemistry was your favorite subject. Maybe you never took it. Maybe you hated it. Maybe you're in high school right now. Maybe you're a high school chemistry teacher. I had high school chemistry a very long time ago, and I am not a chemist, so my apologies to anyone who is a professional in this field and that this might offend. But the concept that I want to talk about is entropy. So, if you need a bit of a refresher, or if this is a word that's not familiar to you, the idea of entropy is the disorder of a system, how chaotic, how random a system is. And systems naturally move towards disorder, towards chaos. So, even a very strictly organized, structured system is over time going to become more and more disordered or more and more chaotic. Now, what we fail to recognize sometimes is that things that happen at the, I'm going to say the micro level, also tend to happen at the macro level. So here's a definition of entropy, or I guess I should say a description of entropy that might be a little bit more relatable. When was the last time you cleaned your house and it stayed perfectly clean? Never, right? Um, all systems, including your house, are meant to move towards a more chaotic state. Every time I clean my house, I think, why am I bothering? It's just going to get messy again. A little bit of disorder is normal. That is real life. And systems, including your house, are going to move into more and more chaos. It might hit what we call an equilibrium point. So it's not like if you never clean your house again, your house, the walls will crumble around you. It will probably reach an equilibrium. But it's also, you have to actively work, like real actively work, to keep it in that strict, ordered, structured state, right? It wants to move into a place of disorder, a place of chaos. And I'm just using the example of a clean house, but chaos, disorder, randomness exists all around us. And sometimes our lives have different levels of chaos in different areas. So some people might feel like they live in a really chaotic physical space, or their house or their office or something like that. Some people might feel like they live in a more chaotic mental space. So thoughts are kind of running everywhere. Some people might feel like they live more in a chaotic relationship space. So their relationships cause a lot of turbulence in their life. Sometimes it's our jobs. We might have a really chaotic job. Everyone somewhere has at least a little bit of chaos, and some people have more chaos in more areas than others. And everyone has different levels of comfort with chaos. So some people actually, I'm sure you know some people like this, maybe you're one of them yourselves, who really like chaos. They like that disorder. They like that no real structure around them. They like being able to kind of go where they want to go and do what they want to do and live how they want to live. Whereas other people are really uncomfortable in that world and they are very rigid and very structured and very organized. And it's sort of a spectrum, right? Where we all sort of exist on this spectrum between like really not at all chaotic and maybe quite chaotic. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, it just is. But we all have a comfort level with how chaotic our life is. And so the question of how do I fix entropy? How do I fight entropy? How do I reverse entropy? If you're someone who doesn't do well with chaos in their life, well, the short answer is you can't. Remember, when your house gets messy, you can just think to yourself, no, it's chemistry. I guess maybe physics if you want to argue that too. But no, it's scientifically proven that my house is supposed to be messy. And so there's always going to be a little bit of chaos, a little bit of disorder in our lives. But there are ways, if you feel like your life is a bit too overwhelming, a bit too chaotic, a bit too hectic, there are ways that you can kind of dial back the chaos a little bit. Number one is routine. If you have an area of your life that you feel is particularly chaotic, so let's say that maybe your mornings are always full of chaos. You're just trying to get everybody out the door and get on with your day. Maybe you feel like your evenings are full of chaos. Bedtime is crazy. Maybe even if you don't have kids, maybe your bedtime is always in a rush because you're always doing stuff in the evening. If you feel like you have a particular part of your day or time of your day that's pretty chaotic and you don't like that, set up a routine. So structure some sort of, at 7 o'clock we're doing this, at 7:30 we're doing this, at 8 o'clock we're doing this. If you get into a routine of either events or based on time, that can really help dial down the chaos. So my second recommendation is habits. What I mean by a habit is something that is happening for you on autopilot. So it's an activity, an event, something that you do that you don't have to think about, you just do it. Setting up habits is actually a great way to beat chaos because chaos is going to happen, right? There's going to be, your kids are going to be sick and they can't go to school, or your job is going to throw a last minute deadline at you, or your car is going to break down. That's life. But when you have really solid habits that are well established and are pretty reliable, throwing those kind of chaotic things at you generally doesn't shake you from your habits. So setting up really solid, long-lasting habits can help you kind of sail a little bit more easily through chaos. So like the routine, sort of narrow down on an area of your life that you want to be consistent with, you want to see some progress in, and start thinking about different habits that you can incorporate. Because as long as they get to the stage of where they're on autopilot, chaos, it's a lot harder. I shouldn't say impossible, but it's a lot harder for chaos to knock them off of their tracks. So number 3 is your circle. It is really well proven scientifically that we tend to act, so eat like, speak like, move like the people around us. That's what we do as humans. We kind of adapt our behavior to fit what's around us. So if there are a lot of people in your life that you feel are a bit more chaotic, I'm not saying you need to get rid of them, but they might be adding to your chaos. If you find that the people in your life kind of have that feeling with you or for you, maybe try to add some other people in your life that have that feeling a little bit less. Again, you don't need to cut them out entirely, but changing the people who you spend a lot of time with, if possible, can drastically change your activities, your behaviors, even the way you think. Who we surround ourselves with is very, very powerful. And so just take a look at the people around you. Do they have the energy that you want to emulate? Number 4, lower your expectations. So this is one that I work on a lot. Nothing can be perfect and perfectly ordered all the time. It's science. It just can't. So where are some areas in your life that you can accept that? Maybe it's the house doesn't need to be cleaned to a certain degree all the time. Maybe it's that the dishes don't always need to be washed. Maybe your socks don't always need to match. Maybe you don't need to meet up with your friends every week on Friday afternoons. I'm not sure. It depends. It's going to be very individual. But lowering your expectations for what you feel like you're supposed to achieve, or what you feel like your life is supposed to look like, or what your kids are supposed to be experiencing, have a look at your expectations and see where are some places that you can say, okay, maybe it's okay if I let that slide for a while. Maybe it's okay if I dial that back. This isn't too pressing. I guarantee that if you can kind of turn that expectation down in at least a couple areas, that's going to take a lot of the chaos and a lot of the stress off. And finally, tip number 5 is to declutter. So I'm talking about chaos on all levels. So chaos from a health perspective, maybe you feel like your health is really chaotic. Chaos from a routine perspective, chaos from a people perspective. But it is also well proven that our physical space drastically impacts our mental space. So if the space around you is very cluttered, very chaotic, decluttering can really help improve all aspects of your life, including your mental clutter. And so I mean, this can be as simple as decluttering maybe your sock drawer, or maybe you declutter your room, or maybe you're going to be able to declutter your entire house if it comes to that, or maybe that will take years and that's okay too. But kind of cleaning through the clutter can really help lower what we perceive as chaos around us. Have a yard sale, donate some things, toss stuff out, whatever you need to do. But decluttering can really have a significant impact on our mental and physical health. So I'm curious, what areas of your life do you feel are a little bit chaotic, that you aren't comfortable with? Or what areas of your life do you feel like maybe need a little bit more chaos? Let the entropy in. If you feel like you need help with your sleep in particular, or your energy, if you're an exhausted woman who just isn't sleeping well and you want some more structure, a little bit less chaos, give me a shout. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Elizabeth Brothers Health. You can email me, drop me a comment below. That is an area that I can help you reduce the clutter, reduce the chaos, reduce the noise, and get a little bit more on track and moving forward. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you have a great day.